Good evening, council, staff, and members of the public. May I have a mover and seconder to call the meeting to order, please? I have Councillor Garwood and Councillor Fisher. So at the regular meeting of the council, the Township of Springwater of December 20th, 2023 come to order at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. We will now ask that we rise for the singing of the national anthem. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, through age and glow, in all such men, with glowing hearts we see the rise are true, nor strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Councilor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? And not seeing any, we'll move now on to question period, and then we'll turn to Clerk Ainsworth. Have there been any submissions received?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. There have been 3 submissions received. The first one from Patrick Glatt of 73 Glen Huron Drive, and they state regarding item 7.1, the MZO for Paul Sadlin Communities. During the IPS consulting phone call on November 13th, there was an extensive Q&A session where there were questions from residents and answers provided by IPS. This call was recorded. However, most of these Q&As were not provided in Appendix C. Question to council. Were council members present on that call, or was the recording watched to capture all of the residents' concerns?
Thank you, Clerk Ainsworth. At this time, I will turn to Planner Russell. I'm gonna ask if Senior Planner Russell, we'll just wait. He has his hand up. We're just trying to make him a panelist here.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Yes, I can confirm that as council was double booked on November 13th when the PIC took place with budget discussions, we had the applicant record the meeting and provided a link to council on November 14th. I've also included a link to the recording. It's a YouTube recording directly in my staff report, so everybody can view it. The recording is about 2 hours long, so I'm not surprised that some of those responses didn't make it into the formal submission. But thank you.
Thank you, Planner Russell. Clerk Ainsworth, on to our next submission.
Thank you. The next submission is from Corey Quaranto, 3 Channon Court, regarding item 7.1, MZO for Paul Sadlin Communities. And they write, I understand that the property known as 742 Bayfield Street is currently outside of the Midhurst settlement boundary. However, given its proximity directly adjacent, would the township enforce the Midhurst secondary plan requirements if endorsing this development as to align this growth with neighboring developments? Currently, the proposed plan is in complete disregard for the Midhurst secondary plan. Secondly, the person per hectare for this development raises a concern for parking. What would happen if the underground parking isn't feasible? Would the proposed green space turn into parking lots? It is unclear what percentage of parking would be allocated for external community members to utilize the commercial mixed use amenities. No parking lots are shown.
Thank you, Clerk Ainsworth, and I will again turn to Senior Planner Russell for comment.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. There's sort of two parts to that question. So on the first part, I'll say that the subject lands and the proposed development here are located outside the Midhurst secondary plan boundary and cannot be considered under typical municipal land use applications. So these are official plan amendment or zoning bylaw amendment. If an MZO request was approved by the province, the development would not be subject to the policies of the MSP. And would instead be subject to any conditions or restrictions or limitations imposed by the minister through their zoning orders. So the short answer is no. On the second portion of that question, I'll say that the plan put forward by the developer represents a concept plan at this stage. Should the province consider permitting additional development in this area, the developer would still be required to supply the township with applications for draft plan of subdivision and site plan control, where detailed engineering and technical review would occur by not only the township's engineers, but by the MTO and by the NBCA as well. So I'll say that while it's a concept plan at this stage, it's certainly subject to change, and all of those technical details will be reviewed. So it's more of a concept at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Senior President Russell. And I will move to Clerk Ainsworth for our third submission.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. The third submission is from Sandy McConkey, and Ms. McConkey is here in the audience. If you could please approach and pose your question.
Thank you. And as a past counselor, you know the drill, so pull the microphones close to yourself, and thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for giving me this time. And my question is in regards to population allocation. Based on Springwater's long-term fiscal impact assessment of growth, 2021 to 2041, there appears to be a contrast with Simcoe County regarding forecasted population growth. Municipal reporting shows a forecasted growth of 25,800 to 2041, and both the Simcoe County official plan and growth forecasts and land needs assessment shows a forecasted growth for Springwater of 10,170 to 2051. So my questions are, what is the correct Springwater population forecast allocation to 2041 and 2051? Was the Midhurst special rural population growth excluded from the Simcoe County forecasted population to 2051? And if so, why? And what population forecast is being used for jobs per hectare and economic growth in Springwater? Is the 2010 Springwater Economic Development Strategy the most current economic strategy? If so, will it be updated to reflect population allocation to 2051? And please note, these are the only documents I've reviewed, and therefore Springwater has updated reports that align with the population allocation numbers published by Simcoe County. Just advise me, and I have provided the source reports that I took my information from.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. McConkey. And I'd like to thank Senior Planner Russell for being in communication with Ms. McConkey previous to this, and he has committed, our staff have committed to continuing to work with Ms. McConkey to get the answers provided as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And at this time, we will have members of the public, should they wish to have questions of council, now would be the time to come forward. Not everyone at once. And seeing none, we will now move on to item 6, which is our minutes. May I have a mover and seconder approve the council minutes, please? I have Councillor Garwood and Deputy Cabral that the minutes of council listed herein be approved as presented. 1, the minutes of the special meeting of council, December 4th, 2023 at 9:15 a.m. Minutes of the special meeting of council, closed session, December 4th, 2023 at 9:15 a.m. 3 minutes of the special meeting of council of December 4th, 4 p.m. 4 minutes of the special meeting of council, closed session at 4 p.m. 5 minutes of the special meeting of council of December 6th, 2023 at 5 p.m. 6 minutes of the special meeting of, the regular meeting of council of December 6th at 2023 7 minutes of the special meeting of council of December 6, 2023 at 8 PM, and 8 minutes of the special meeting of council closed session of December 6, 2023 at 8 PM. Council, are there any of these that you wish to have pulled or speak to? And seeing none, all those in favor? And that has carried. We will now move on to 6.5. May I have a mover and seconder to receive our committee minutes? I have Councillor Moore and Councillor Alexander, that the minutes of the boards, committees, and other organizations listed herein be received for information. 1, minutes of Agricultural Advisory Committee meeting of May 9th, 2023. And 2, draft minutes of the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority Board meeting of December 8th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments on these meetings? And seeing none, all those in favor? And that is approved. We are now moving on to our action reports. May I have a mover and seconder for the MZO 2023-002 Paul Sadling Communities, 2252841 Ontario Inc., located at 742 Bayfield Street North. I have Councillor Garwood and Councillor Fisher. And council, at this time, there is an information report with option 1 and 2. At this time, we would ask the mover and seconder do put one of those options forward, that the report from the Acting Director of Planning Services regarding the MZO 2023-002 742 Bayfield Street dated December 20th, 2023 be received, and that option 1, that council for the Township of Springwater endorse the Paul Sadling Communities 2252841 Ontario Inc. proposed request to locate the community subdivision development on the lands known as 742 Bayfield Street North through a provincial land use approval process, or option 2, that the council for the Township of Springwater does not endorse the Paul Sadling Communities 2252841 Ontario Inc. proposed request to locate the community subdivision development on lands known as 742 Bayfield Street North. Council, this is on the floor and we are open for comments and questions. And then at that time, I will have a mover put forward either option 1 or 2. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. First, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Sadlin for having the vision and the perseverance in wanting to create a legacy development in Springwater Township, and innovative planning for working so diligently with staff, for completing the preliminary work required prior to submitting your request for a letter of support from council for the MZO. Some projects that come before council just make sense, and this is one of them. It is designed to meet the many needs of our growing, sorry, it says I'm muted. Sorry, excuse me. It is designed to meet the many needs of our growing community. This will greatly assist Springwater Township in achieving its goals while providing the financial security required to provide enhanced services to our residents. This is the right project at the right time in the right location. This groundbreaking concept will provide much needed resources, jobs, housing, and rental opportunities to the larger community where people from all of the surrounding area will benefit. I would like to propose option 1, that council for the Township of Springwater endorse the Paul Sadling Communities proposal to request to locate a community subdivision development on the lands known as 742 Bayfield Street North through a provincial land use approval process. And furthermore, I wish them all the best as they continue to work through the many steps still required to bring this to fruition. And to the residents, there is a long road ahead. And I'm convinced that between Paul Sadling Communities and innovative planning, they have expressed a commitment to me to ensure that your concerns are heard. And because it is a concept still, there's room for change, and your quality of life will remain the same. I think that's the goal for everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Deputy Cabral.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I just wanted to comment on the whole process for the last 2 MZOs that have come before council. They've been very transparent, very out in the open. They've had opportunity for public input, public dialogue, and I won't call it consultation because that will come at a later date if in fact MZOs find approval at the provincial level. But just to say that it's very refreshing to be able to know that the comments that the residents have expressed are available to the minister when he makes his determination going forward. And these are comments that I would go further to say wouldn't normally be available because the public would not really be apprised of the developments that were being proposed previously when an MZO was requested. So I just want to say it's nice to know that residents had some involvement, and nice to know that their comments were heard. And also nice to know that the minister, when they're reviewing this, will have those available to them as well.
Thank you, Deputy Corral. Any further comments, members of council? And we do have Councillor Moore has requested, but we do have a mover of Councillor Garwood, seconded by Councillor Fisher. Councillor Garwood, your option to be moving forward is option number 1. Thank you for that. So council, we do have option number 1 before us. If there's any further comment or questions, not seeing any, we have number 1 on the table. Council, all those in favor? And that has been supported unanimously. Thank you. There it is. It was only the one report. Council, at this time, I'm asking for, may I have a mover and seconder for action reports? Councillor Thompson and Deputy Cabral, that the actions reports 8.2 through 8.4 be received and that the recommendations contained there and be approved as presented. We have 8.2, a request to participate in the Heritage Tax Fund Program. 8.3, cancellation of RFP 2023-42 ISO Storm Sewer Infrastructure Inventory. And 8.4, the final acceptance of the request for the Enball Meadows. Are there any questions on 8.2 through 8.4? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. We are now moving on to 9. May I have a mover and seconder to receive the information reports? Councillor Garwood and Councillor Fisher, that the reports listed herein be received for information. I have number 1, Building Services Monthly Activity Report. 2, Bylaw Services Monthly Activity Report. 3, our check register. 4, Corporate Credit Card Report. 5, Q3 2023 Procurement Summary. Council, at this time, are there any items 1 through 5 that you wish to have comment or pulled? Councillor Fisher. And number 3. Is it comment or pulled for redirection?
Good
Comment
comment.
at this time. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank staff for preparing that. I'd like to, and I'm sure the other members of council did like to see some insight as to, on a month-to-month basis where taxpayers' money is spent. So it's great to have some insight into it on an ongoing basis. So I'm glad we are getting that. One question I did have, and maybe I'd direct it through you to CAO Schmidt. Is it possible, because I noticed this is from November, is it possible to get the check registry going back to the beginning of the year? Is that something we could look into?
CEO Schmidt.
Through you, Mayor Coughlin, to Councillor Fisher. If that's the direction of council, we'd be happy to provide that to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from members of council? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to our information. No, we just did that. It's our verbal reports, and I will turn to our Chief Administrative Officer for our development update.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I actually don't have any new development updates to share beyond the ones that were shared December 6th. So thank you.
Thank you. And as there was no meeting of the County Council, at this time I'll move on to municipal updates. Councillor Thompson.
I would just like to draw attention to what an amazing community we have at this festive time of the season and in all seasons. Attended a couple of weeks ago the Minising Tractor Parade and the tree lighting. I want to thank the Minising Recreation Association for a job well done. Also, the Anton Mills Recreation Association and Christmas in the village was a huge success. I want to thank both community associations and the public for coming out and supporting our amazing local food bank. So Merry Christmas and a job well done.
Thank you. Councillor Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I just wanted to make note of the Phelpston Christmas wagon ride, or 2 Fridays ago, I guess, but, it was probably the best turnout we've had, well, absolutely the best turnout we've had since COVID, which was amazing. It took a while to get back up to the previous numbers, so I'm so happy to see it's there. They did a great job. It was a fun wagon ride followed by a car parade that had a monster semi truck completely lit up that went through the community. So thank you so much to all the volunteers and everyone who participated.
Thank you. And the semi truck was followed by like a little mini side by side. So the proportionate of that made it look even bigger. Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just a few items I wanted to note. On December the 8th, Sleigh Ride in the Village was held in the community of Elmville. I wanted to congratulate the Lions and Lioness groups for putting on an incredible event. Again, I couldn't even guess how many people were there. The lineup was so long, it was pretty much down the entirety of Queen Street. So it was pretty neat to see. That same weekend was a busy weekend for holiday events in Springwater, the menacing tree lighting, the Anton Mills Christmas in the Village, and the Anton Mills Santa Claus Parade. So I had a great time attending those, and congratulations to the Menacing and Anton Mills CRAs for putting those on. I also wanted to speak specifically to some exciting feedback that we've been hearing in the community. As I noted at our last meeting, the Elmville BIA has decided to take over operation of the Springwater Farmers Market. And since then, we've had an outpouring of excitement from various members of the community to hear that the market's going to be back again in 2024. Folks already asking how they can sign up and be a vendor. So more information to come on that front, but that's pretty exciting. Something really neat was last week, Elmvale's water was featured on Breakfast Television, which was really neat. The Water Brothers, who had done a story on the Elmvale groundwater and water and spring water in general. I've also showed clips from the Water Brothers documentary and their docu-series were on there, and they actually taste tested the water that was drawn right from town. Sid and Meredith from Breakfast Television tried our water and said that they needed to go to Elmvale. So we welcome them, but that was pretty neat. And last thing that I wanted to mention was the Main Street of Elmville has been busy with lots of folks supporting local during the holiday season, which is our BIA's focus and our community's focus. So thank you to all those who continue to support local. And from my family to yours, happy holidays.
Thank you, Councillor Garwood. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Because it's in Ward 4, I just want to mention the magic of lights at Springwater Park, just down the street from here. The lineup tonight on the way in here was about 1 kilometer long. Like, it was obstructing traffic. It is so popular and incredible. And this year they've really expanded the show, and you can get out of your car in the middle of the park and enjoy some snacks and Santa and all of that. So I just wanted to say congratulations to that. It's so successful, and I really encourage everybody to go by.
Thank you. It is quite phenomenal. And I like how on their advertising. So last year it was just the lights Barrie. And this year it's Springwater Park Barrie. So I did write back to them again and to let them know they're not in Barrie. They are in fact in Springwater. So I don't know what else we can do to encourage this company. And I get that it's marketing and you're drawing people in, but it is a spectacular event. So I would love if they could just maybe change the word Barrie to Springwater on that. That would be great. Deputy Cabral.
I do know part of the reason why some folks think they live in Barrie is because Canada Post has things wrong. And people have Barrie Post Office, so it looks like they live in Barrie, but they live in Springwater and they're happy to be here, I'm sure. The only comment I want to make, and I think Councillor Fisher had his hand up first to talk about something.
No, go ahead.
No, I wanted to say that Councillor Fisher and I did attend actually the Anton Mills Santa Claus Parade, and it was absolutely fantastic. The folks in Anton Mills were very receptive, lined the streets, had a lot of fun. But I must congratulate Councillor Fisher because he actually brought a float and put it into the parade. It was an airplane with 2 small elves sitting in it. It was quite a bit of a hit, and that's also one of the reasons why you didn't see us at the rec hall later on. We weren't able to navigate the corner to get in. we had to go back around into Minnesing, find a place to park and tear the wings off of this airplane. But Councillor Fisher did an absolutely fantastic job, and kudos to him, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
And for next year, Councillor Fisher, instead of turning right into the Enton Mills Hall, you can turn left into my barn, and you're more than welcome to park there and walk across. You can land your plane at the barn. So are there any further, Councillor Fisher?
I'd actually like to thank the OPP on staff because they helped us get back in past the hall. Without their help, I don't know how we could have got there without the wings coming off. But I did want to mention again, you guys are all a tough act to follow. You guys have a lot going on, but hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll start laying water for our Midhurst Pavilion. We had hoped to have people out skating, but it looks like we're gonna have a mild week next week, so I don't think it'll come together. But we do have a handful of volunteers that are willing to go at any time to get that water down. And hopefully get some of the kids skating. Exciting news. We have a new container shed just arrived. It's not as exciting as Matt's news. I know I bring whatever I can, but we do have a new container that arrived to put all of our ice making equipment in. So that's the exciting news that I bring tonight. Merry Christmas, everyone. All right.
Thank you. And just on that, and I remember last year there was conversation about the numerous outdoor rinks that we do have in Springwater. And throughout COVID, there was different times that people could be on it, and we were trying to keep it available. Is there an opportunity this year to move forward? And I'm not suggesting like our snowplow tracker, but just an ongoing recreation or update with our communities as to which rinks are open, which rinks are closed, but in one template, because our residents do go to the individual Facebook page, but I think it would be beneficial to our residents if through our one social media that we were just kind of on a weekly, this is kind of where the rinks are at, because I think it's really unique. And I when I continue to talk to members of county council, I know Tiny Township has to pay staff and they do this and ours are all completely volunteer driven. So it is something, if we can support them in that way to help. These are the times for shinny, these are the times for public skating, and just really help our volunteers not have to interject with residents in that way. And maybe people from Midhurst go to Hillsdale and Hillsdale go and all kind of experience the rinks. So just as a thought on that. At this time, I will be moving, unless there's nothing further. We do have a motion to which notice has been given by Councillor Alexander. And at this time, I will look for a seconder for Councillor Alexander's motion, Councillor Fisher. And I will turn to Councillor Alexander.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So quite simply, that council hereby direct that the process to be undertaken for the 2023 performance review of the Chief Administrative Officer be as follows: that the mayor and or deputy mayor be tasked with the verbatim consolidation of submissions by members of council into the final draft of the CAO performance review.
Thank you, Councillor Alexander. Deputy Cabral.
I just would like to propose a friendly amendment, and that 2023 be removed, and it just be something that happens going forward when it's CAO's performance review. The way it's written there, it would mean 2024 might have a different process all over again. So I would just ask that 2023 be removed.
Councillor Alexander.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Again, and just before I do go to Councillor Thompson, and just being mindful that the CAO's performance review came forward as a policy to this table because it wanted to be removed from the office of the mayor, the hands of the mayor, and put in a place where council as a whole had more control. So if I guess the the verbatim consultation, whichever that is, makes it that way. But I just wanted to be mindful that that was the intent of this policy moving in that direction. And I did see Councillor Thompson, and then back to Councillor Alexander.
Just through the chair to, I'm not sure who to address this question to, but what's been the past? Who has done this report in the past for the township? Because I assume this isn't the first time that there's been a performance review.
Thank you. And there has been many different fluctuating differences in that. And it seems to be in the 3 terms of council, it has been addressed, and we have debated on how this should be put forward. In our last term of council, we attempted to come up with a policy so that the conversation didn't continue every single term as to who's going to do what. It has moved forward. We do have the policy, and it moved forward with the direction of the policy in the last 2 reviews. But I can turn to CEO Schmidt if that's not some sort of conflict, considering it's your review, but it's your policy. Or maybe I can turn, I will direct this over to Manager DeVriend to speak to the policy that's in place.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, through to the rest of council. In the last review for in 2022, it was the comments were provided to the executive assistant, who took them verbatim and included them in the performance appraisal document that was provided to council and the CAO.
Thank you. Councillor Alexander.
Thank you, Manager DeVriend. So just Councillor Thompson, to speak to your question and to provide a bit more context. So the policy, as I read it, kind of had a couple different options of how we could move forward with it. One being, which we've done previously, where the comments go to the executive assistant to consolidate. I personally feel that that's unfair for both the CAO and the executive assistant, considering there's a direct report relationship there. It's not necessarily appropriate for a direct report to see their manager's performance appraisal, and it also puts that direct report in an awkward position, considering they have privy to that. It's confidential information, and I feel like we're putting both of those positions in an uncomfortable position that potentially could cause issues down the road. So in my mind, it makes sense to pull that out of there and just kind of move forward with the mayor and deputy mayor, and or consolidating council's thoughts on the performance appraisal. And I do plan in the new year to bring forward amendments to the policy, but in interest of time, I figured I would just try and direct this upcoming review.
Thank you for that. And before I go to Councillor Fisher, as we know, in the policy, it does state third party. So I do appreciate that we are not hiring someone to copy and paste things. So thank you for that, Councillor Fisher.
I just wanted to add that I do agree with the councillor's sentiments. I think that having it go through somebody who directly reports to the CAO, when I read that, I thought maybe it's not quite professional, or it's at least I questioned it. So moving in a different direction, I think having the mayor and deputy mayor handle it would probably be a smarter way to go about it.
Okay. So council, we do have the resolution. We have the motion before us. Are there any further questions or discussion? Councillor Thompson?
So are we talking the mayor or the deputy mayor or both, or is that something that's going to be resolved later?
I am happy to hit Alt Control C and then Alt Control paste. I'm happy to complete that. Seeing nothing further, all those in favor? And that has council, at this time, are there any additional notices of motion? Not seeing any items for future consideration? Not seeing any. I move on to item 12, our bylaws. May I have a mover and seconder for approval of the bylaws, please? I have Deputy Cabral and Councillor Thompson, that bylaws listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk of 2023-124, the assumption of the municipal service and roadway, 2023-125, established public highway, 2023-126, heritage preservation and maintenance agreement, 2023-127, the water regulation and rating bylaw, 2023-128, wastewater regulation and rating bylaw. Are there any questions on the 5 listed items here? Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? And that has carried. And at this time, we will be moving into closed. Oh, my apologies. Councillor Moore, use your microphone. Thank you.
I was going to just let Ms. McConkey know that I would be bringing forward the notice of motion to have your questions answered at the next meeting. That's all. Thank you.
At the next meeting. Thank you. At this time, we're moving into closed session. May I have a mover and seconder to resolve into closed, please? I have Councilors Fisher and Moore. That in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, the Corporation of the Township of Springwater does now hereby resolve into closed session at 7:05 PM for discussion pertaining to labor relations and employee negotiations. And it's recruitment of our Director of Recreation, Parks and Facilities, an item added to the agenda at 2023, 12:20 at 4:50 PM due to urgency in the matter. All those in favor? And that has carried. And at this time, we will ask our guests to take a treat on their way out from Councillor Thompson. So we will be clearing the chamber to resolve into closed. Council, we have reconvened. At this time, I will be looking for a mover and seconder for the direction provided in closed, please. I have Councillor Moore and Councillor Alexander that the direction to staff be as directed and closed. All those in favor? That is carried. May I have a mover and seconder for the confirmation bylaw, please? I have Councillors Garwood and Deputy Cabral that bylaw 2023-129 to confirm and adopt the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on December 20th, 2023, listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? That has carried. And our adjournment. May I have a mover and seconder for adjournment, please? I have Councillors Moore and Fisher that the regular meeting of the Township of Springwater does now adjourn at 7:54 p.m. to meet again on January 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. Thank you very much, Council. Merry Christmas to everyone, and I will see you in the new year.